Do you feel some level of confidence that you can go after what you want? Or do you feel that it might be too scary or painful or difficult? Yeah, I don't necessarily mean it'll be straightforward, but that you can go after it, including the challenges, because it won't be straightforward, it won't be easy. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. And so try and fail is it's a form of fear. And to notice that might help make more clear and aware what it is you want. It's usually what we're most afraid of is also what we want. Sometimes we trick ourselves. We think we're afraid of one thing and it's actually something else or the opposite thing, as a way to stay away from what we're really afraid of, which is what we really want. And so it's really important to clarify, not just to put all thought and psychology kind of in one bag and say that's all thought, put it aside. To be able to go into, in a sense, by observing thought and observing the mind, to clarify its functioning, to make the thought process more aligned with our truer understanding. And so it's often important and valuable to go into it, for example, and notice, what is it that I'm really afraid of? What is it that I really want? And for that, once it gets clarified, then the choice almost becomes kind of natural. It comes as a consequence. It almost becomes an inevitability. And so this being pulled by different things that puts us in a bit of like a frozen pattern can be unlocked by being in touch with the fear and being in touch with what we really want and have that clarify. Because we often don't want to clarify it, because if we do, then it becomes inevitable that we move into the direction of fear and potential pain. yeah. And to become friends in a sense with our own mind, with our own emotional body, with so that we can know this is what I'm afraid of, this is fear, this is pain, this is how it feels like. And by becoming friends, I mean it, we become able to be in some form of okayness or comfort or comfortable in that which brings fear and pain. So then our choice and our ability to move isn't now conditioned by avoiding fear and pain. Because if we're avoiding fear and pain, we reduce our movement, we reduce our freedom. Another way to think about it is, if I knew that I could be with the vastest fear, the deepest pain that I could experience and be okay, then where do I want to go? What movement is calling? What is it that my deepest desire longs for? Because, for example, you were describing being alone and having a family. These are very common paradoxes of thought where we are torn between two polar notions of way of living. And maybe what I'm most deeply afraid of is loneliness. Maybe it's relationship. And so the direction doesn't come only from knowing the fear, but it's in combination with knowing the fear more deeply and feeling more into the longing, what I deeply want. And that will be known as more expansive. The qualities of love and vitality and expansiveness. But we often don't feel that because we're trying to avoid the fear. And because what we really want is then experience like a bit of a roller coaster, you can't have it without the moments of fear, the moments of pain. Yeah, the part that is the trick we play on ourselves is the sense that there's these two options and they're in a sense mutually exclusive. It's one or the other. But being in a relationship doesn't solve loneliness. Being alone doesn't solve the experience of relationships. So they're false polarities. But when that happens, it's the mind. It's really us choosing a mental paradox as a way to kind of freeze or get stuck. And that's a fear response. Well, the better way to say it is we use the mind to create the experience of being trapped between two false dichotomies. So we use the mind to create, because the mind is the imagination machine. It's also a problem-solving machine. But in the imagination machine, we use it to create this. I'm stuck. This is my reality. I am now stuck between these two, and I can't figure it out. But that's the imagination that then we. Part of the imagination is I am in that narrative and I am stuck and I can't do anything about it. It's part of the imagined. And then we create that and then believe it intentionally because it is helping us have this fear response. It's helping us, for example, not make a choice or not go in this direction that I'm afraid of. I think that the big question for you, I often say it in quite a specific way, but it can be said in many ways, but it's what do you as universe, what do you want? But not you as what you know as Joe. just try to feel into what is vaster prior to Joe. What does that, through you, through Joe, want? If you could be guaranteed that you will get through the obstacles and be okay, what would be the direction? What would be the deepest desire? That's the distraction. That's the thing that's creating the sense of I can't get what I want, etc., etc. It's the way in which the immediate want is pushed aside with a distraction that is because of the situation, because of age, because of etc., etc. I cannot go for what I want because but nothing stops you from anything at the level of relationship because of age. Nothing stops you from being a mother because of age. You could adopt. You could adopt a newborn, you could adopt a child of a partner. I'm not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying it's all options, all available, all possible. The idea that because of age that's not possible is a trap. But it's not a mind that is wicked or problematic trapping you. It's something that is what we do with it in order to it's just a natural fear response. Some people are more prone to different ways of the fear response. I think there's now more categories, but fight, flight, freeze. And often fear is just about making a choice, making a movement, which can be known as a commitment. This is reminding me with my teacher once. I was at his house and we were going to watch a movie, and he had like a movie library like this with DVDs, not DVDs, the movie disc. I forget what they're called now. Are they DVDs or I forget? No, those are CDs. Yeah, DVDs. And he said, choose one, and he had like a divider, like a wooden divider. Choose one, but only from the left. And I was standing there looking at them all. And I was just going crazy trying to choose one. And he's like, come on, choose one. And I said, I could choose one, but only on the right. And he starts laughing. He's like, oh, that's your mind. And then I just realized that I had created this whole mental problem that I could only choose. It was really intense. And he was pressuring me to choose playfully. He's like, come on, you choose the movie. And then I could see the options that I had, which he just created this situation where all of the ones on this side I could not choose. I just didn't want to commit. I didn't want to make a choice and take the responsibility of we're watching what I'm choosing, and then it being the wrong choice, a bad movie, or not the, and his whole family was going to be watching with us, and it was my choice. And so I created this situation where I could choose, but only of the ones you told me I can't. So you've put me in a situation where I just cannot choose, so you choose. And he just didn't let me go. He's like, oh, that's your mind. No, choose. And in that moment, that whole thing just was very clear. And then I made a choice. I forget what it was or how it went, but all of that just became really clear. And it's this kind of false situation of, because of this context, I am trapped and I cannot move. And in fact, I was loving that he had given me the option to choose. It was a beautiful offering, a beautiful gift, and I was terrified to be responsible of him and his whole family watching what I chose. And that's just choosing a movie. And it was so intense and so challenging. Imagine more important choices, how it can go. And you have to explore. And we learn, but we only really clarify those places of being frozen by jumping in, making a choice, committing to it, risking, going through what comes, and then learning. Was that me listening to a deep desire, or was it more fear-based? And only through that kind of leaping into movement can we learn and refine that knowing. Because only in the experience, once you move, does it become clear. You can't clarify it in thought. It's just kind of like it's always like there's no tiebreaker. In thought, it's always going to be, well, this option, pros and cons, this option, pros and cons. It's that which is prior to thought, which gives birth to the deeper desire. The less deep desire, the desire that comes from thought, from the mind, is to avoid fear, to avoid pain. Some form of that.